Hey guys, it's Ryan here from Sales Scout. If you're watching this video, it means you've decided to move forward with us and to become a customer. The first step that we need to take here is to do our onboarding, and that is all with the form below. So the first things that you want to do is navigate to the form in the customer details. So this is directly below this video. So with the customer details, what we're looking for here is the name of the legal entity in which we would provide to our billing team. The primary email address that you want to use there is the main point of contact between Sales Scout and your business. And then, of course, the phone number is exactly the same. Now, with the company information, what we're looking for there is the company name in which you would use without the legal end section of it. So the company might be Sales Scout Proprietary Limited. You can just put Sales Scout, and that's the company name that we'll use for outbound communication over SMS auto responses and email signatures and those types of things. So you definitely don't want to have Proprietary Limited and those types of things in there. Underneath that, you've got the address and your website URL. Make sure that's accurate. Scrolling through, now you've got the business vertical. Now, we just leave the business as an open text rather than you selecting from a list, because often we found that people have niches and those niches don't necessarily exist in pre-existing lists. With the problem that you solve, what we're looking for is probably as concise as possible. So we will adapt this to a one-liner, which will probably form many of the, outbound value proposition pitches, call to action, and those types of things, whether we're asking a question on something resonating with somebody or whatever. So an example might be that we provide solar panels to the Australian residential housing market for those who are homeowners. The unique value proposition might be something along the lines of, compared to traditional solar panel companies, we have engineered a 30% energy efficiency gain relative to all competitors in there in the market. Now, when you talk about the unique value proposition, it's good to name competitors that would challenge those differentiations. And so we've asked you to name your top 3 competitors there. And just for us, our customer success team develop and collaborate with you over time to understand what your goals are. And we want to understand what those goals are. And that embeds what we would define as our success metrics to ensure your success working with Sales Scout. So from your understandings about what your goals are by working with our platform, technology, and related services, what are the goals over the next 6 to 12 months, assuming that you're going to be with us that long, which I'm sure you will be. Once you've done that, you want to click Submit and Proceed. Now we talk about the campaign. Now, again, with the project, just give it a name. It might be an internal project that you refer to. It could be a project that we work for. In the case of, say, software as a service, it's outbound sales for mid-market. It is, companies driving to a webinar. It's whatever it might be, right? So it can be anything you like. Chuck it in there. We'll use that to refer to that. Depending on what package you've landed on, a project will probably end up equaling an audience. And so if you've got up to 5 audiences or you've got up to 10 audiences, just be aware of that as you're filling that in. With the engagement model, there's a couple of different options. So lots and lots of customers have data. So you might want to use that existing data. You might want us to go out and find data for you, or you might want to take a hybrid model, right? And you want to say, okay, well, we've got some data, but we also want to go and find opportunistic data. We want to blend that together somehow and come up with something like that. So choose one of those. Be as possible about the objective as possible. So this is going to be, what is the call to action leading to? And if that's, we want more appointments in our calendar, it's, we want to drive people to attend a webinar, it's, we want to fill our sales pipeline with qualified opportunities because they've answered these questions, right? Be as specific about those primary objectives as you can be. Now, with regard to who does the reach out, this is what we're asking here in the real person versus the persona. Now, we've probably gone over this during the sales conversations that we've had, but if we haven't, good to go into a little bit of detail here right now. Basically, we can create a person who is artificially AI driven, in that the picture comes up with a person, a designation of your choosing. We tend to go with female, and that person doesn't actually exist. It's completely driven from AI technology to come up with that. We choose a name, we assign them an email address, and we mirror your domain so that the email address isn't registered to your domain. Lots and lots of benefits from doing it that way. No negative reputation implications on email reputation for your own domain, etc. We find that is the more common choice. Now, if you ever want to send emails from your own domain, from yourself, or from one of your staff, that is totally fine too. And if you want to use that real person, we're going to need access to all of their details, their email address accounts, their LinkedIn accounts, if that's what we're doing, and so on. We ask for your company logo. It forms part of provisioning your container or your location within our platform. Talk about your product or service. This is to give us an idea on how likely open rates, response rates, engagement rates, and all those types of things are, so we can benchmark. So if your product's never been heard of before, it's likely that that's going to be interesting. If it is a product that is existing to the world, like cloud infrastructure as a service, whatever, AWS solutions provider, no offense if you are an AWS solutions provider, they will have lower open rates than something that is very novel and unique and never heard of before. If you can provide assets that already exist on cloud storage, that's what we mean by web assets. So please provide the URLs to those assets so that we can create links which point to those assets, and we use those as part of our funnels and workflows that we build to pass an audience through. We want to know about the products and services, and this is in your own words, and we will formulate campaigns and cadences and sequences and value propositions based off your own words. And we turn that into something that's going to get results. What you think your unique value proposition is, plus objections, right? So if your unique value proposition is use Microsoft Word because Google Docs is terrible, they might say, well, that's all well and good, but Google Sheets, I don't ever have to save anything. Google Docs, I should say. I don't ever have to save anything. And we want to know how you would respond to that. So in that case, it might be, well, Microsoft now, you don't have to save, it automatically saves as well. So it's about understanding the most common types of questions and objections that we get, how you would handle those, and we can build them in so that if you're using a managed service, we can have people address and handle those objections in the first or second interactions that we have before we qualify and hand over. And of course, that frees you up to focus on other things that are important. Give us information about the deal sizes, right? So cost of acquisition, how much your deal sizes are, whether they're annual, recurring, and the average deal life cycle. We want these unit economics so that we can build an understanding of your ROI, so that when we get to 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and beyond, we can very easily prove what the impact and the return is by using us as a growth partner, us as somebody who drives revenue, if that's the outcomes and those types of things, so that you can see what the investment is doing. If it's $1 up here, produces $2, well then that can educate us on the types of conversations that we can have in the future. Tell us about your target audience. So who are they? What job titles do they have? What positions do they have? What geography do they exist in? What firmographic information do you know about them? Are they mid-market? Are they revenue of $10 million or less? Are they job titles specific to line of business functions? Are they C-level executives, etc.? If you've got Sales Navigator search URLs, you can include that in this area as well. That makes it extremely for our team to figure out and find those audiences. What channels do you currently use? We're just keen on understanding what those are about. What channels would you like to use? So whether or not you're using any of those or not today, we're then now adding that capability. So we're saying layer in all those different channels. We can pre-target. So we can go and buy media in digital channels, Google, Facebook, etc. And we can pre-target an audience and put them through into landing pages. If we do that, that just gives us a base data set of an audience that we can use to extrapolate and do lookalike audiences beyond that. With the data sets, if you have nothing, you want to provide it to us, give it to us. Otherwise, you can upload that in a CSV file format right there. Any physical or tangible case study information that you might have, PDFs around case studies, white papers, and stuff, upload them here, up to 10 documents. And we'll use those both for our own education, understanding of what you do, but also, this can be material that you can volunteer when someone accepts content. So we don't always just volunteer information to try and drive a value conversation to your market. We sometimes suggest that you request content or request them to receive content, and then on the positive intent and say, yes, I will receive that content, then we flick them a case study or a PDF or whatever it might be. But we don't do that as an attachment because that's not trackable. We would always have that in cloud storage, have the link tracked so that we can take action on that and automate a whole bunch of stuff. That's it for the onboarding. If there's any additional details that you want to add about anything that you are working on in terms of your program of work, reach out to us, let us know. We will provision a Slack channel for you. There will be a Google Drive provisioned and shared out to you where things can be stored. But we have a platform, and so all the information is centralized and contained within that. And we appreciate you taking the time to fill that out and look forward to having you on board, getting up and running, and seeing what we can do as your growth partner. Thanks, and have a great day.